Welcome back to Windrose, everyone. Today I'm going to be building a pirate fortress on the top of this big cave rock on the island that I've been building on over the last few months. We just finished building the shell of a shipwreck over there. We did the lighthouse build video that I have on my channel if you haven't seen that one already. We outlined the tavern that's going to be down there, so basically just decking out this beautiful little island into a nice pirate cove with a whole lot of buildings, and I'm starting with some of the largest main buildings, and the next thing I felt like doing was this pirate fortress. I don't really have a plan for this build, so this video might be a little bit different than some of my past videos. It won't really be a full step-by-step guide exactly as I'm doing it, but hopefully I'll take you along for the process. So sit back, get cozy, and let's get started. Alright, so let's begin with the foundation, which I did do a little layout of for how I wanted it to look. And if I go into the destroy mode, you can see the outlines of things. I used this foundation piece. If we go into floors and walls, we have the foundation stone pieces right here. And that's mainly what I use. We have sort of a corner here and this big square tower that is 4 by 4 of those. And then basically not the very inner corner, but one out. We go over by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And in the very middle of that, between these two, are some stairs that come down at a 45-degree angle. And those are headed off to the shipwreck and tavern down there. And then same thing over here. We have a 4 by 4 square, except for the fact that these corner pieces are rounded instead of square. And so for those, I just went into my floors and walls, and then you can see we have these nice semi-rounded clay walls, which are kind of cool, and I thought that could add a little bit of variation. So my plan for this build is to sort of have this taller tower right here, a slightly shorter tower that's round with a bit of variation in texture, with maybe a little rope bridge that connects the two, a little sort of castle wall with a little archway for the entry here, and then a wall that would sort of walk around here. This will all be built up much higher, and it'll have a little bridge that goes over this opening here to then walk all the way around. And then this little square here is essentially going to go, maybe I'll continue it off this way a little bit to support a house, the main house of the pirate fortress. And so if you imagine sort of here, this entire foundation is pretty symmetrical aside from some changes on each corner. So this one is the same as that one that we went over. And then right over here, we come out by 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we rotate by 15 degrees and then another 15 degrees. And I placed these little pillars on the outer corners so that we could rotate those little notches there. And same exact thing here. We come out by 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then rotate them in. And that's what you're seeing here. And the reason I'm leaving it open is because I think this is kind of a cool height right here to have a character be able to walk from this end, because we have some really cool rock outcroppings here to build on. So we could walk from here, underneath here, maybe have like a little treasury or vault or something that we could access down here, and then walk on through out this little arch to possibly maybe a little campfire or some sort of cozy area over here that goes out to some more buildings, because this place just has such a nice view. So that's our foundation layout, and now let's get started on some building. And I think the first thing I'm going to do is start with these limestone wall pieces for the castle walls themselves here. Let's go up by 4 of these little guys on each side of the stairs. And then maybe I have a nice little window on both sides there. So maybe we'll go up 2 of these ones, 2 right there, and then little windows on the edges. We'll do a little frame over the door there. That should work nice. And I think that'll be the height of the castle wall. I don't want it a whole lot higher. I'm gonna do something very similar to this side as well. We're gonna go up by 2. Maybe I will have a window. Let's see here. Where would be a good spot for a window? Could even do a large one or a few small ones, actually. That's maybe what I'll do. I'll go up here and we'll have a small one there, and then a small one there, and then another small one here. That could look pretty cool. I'm gonna do the same thing on this side as well. And again, I might change these things around as time goes on, depending on what looks good, how the build comes together. I really don't know entirely what I want to do for this, but sometimes you just got to start building before some inspiration comes. So let me go ahead and put it on 15-degree rotation there so that we can continue this over. And I think for these, let's see here, I think these are going to be solid, so let's just do one there and then one there, and we can continue those up like that, because the goal is to sort of have the ability to walk in between this castle wall. So let's go ahead up with that and then rotate it like this and put one here like so and one here, and it snaps perfectly like that. You can see there's only one real snapping point. It kind of scooches the tiniest bit, but it's pretty perfect in how it snaps there if we sort of do it on the outer edge like that. And then for the top portion here, I'm gonna go to the floors and go to this plank section, and then maybe we do a little plank arch there, something like that, so you can walk over this middle section. And then I'm gonna come to the outside, and I really like the idea of continuing these pillars up. So let's just go to these wider pillars, kind of rotate them there. Continue those up on the sides. Let's do this one here. It's looking pretty good. Just making sure I am rotated in the right directions. Do that one, and then this one here. Yeah, I think that would be good. And then I'm going to go across, maybe like that. And then let's try to do some sort of unique archway over here. So maybe I'll use these pieces and then maybe some steeper ones to create some cool looking bracing there that the character can then walk under. I think that's perfect. And then maybe something similar on this side, but rather than some large bracing, let's just go with something a little bit smaller like that. And then maybe 2 and 3. Yeah, that's perfect. So we have sort of our little bridge over there. Let's do something similar on this side. Let's go ahead and continue this over and across. And then go ahead with some of these little shallow pieces on both sides. Flip them around like that. And then the more steep ones here. Let's do that, and just like that, to kind of create this little frame. And then this pathway in here, I was almost thinking could either be a mixture of stone, but we could almost do some little planks in here. So if this makes sense, like maybe we do something like this, and then I could just take these little guys and almost free place them. So we can hit P on the keyboard and maybe create just like a freeform pathway out to the edge here. Maybe we'll take these ones, turn snapping back on, and continue out by at least one of those. Could put some of these little triangle pieces around. I don't know. We'll see how this looks when it's done. And then this, like I said, could sort of be access to a room. This is just a temporary bed. Disregard this. That's just so that I can sleep the night so that you guys can see the building in the daytime. So that's the outside of the castle walls, which I think is looking quite nice. Let's go to windows and doors, and let's see if there's any kind of nice, like narrow shutters or anything like that. Maybe these ones here, or these ones actually. This is a nice one. I'm going to put these like this, and then rotate them around. Put them here. I just feel like they're nice and sturdy and strong looking for our castle walls here. So let's go with the double wide ones here on both sides of the doorway. And then I'm going to take my pillars and beams, and we're going to frame this doorway out as well. So let's go up on both sides like that. And then one little guy across the top. Yeah, that's looking pretty good so far. All right, And now for this tower section, this I'm thinking of doing almost like a half-timbered brick look or something like that. Maybe it'll make sense later on. So I'm thinking that the clay walls, those are gonna match a little bit better for the texture that we're trying to go for here. So I kind of want a nice window here and here. So let's do clay walls here. Let's do one here. And then we could even have little windows on the diagonal portions here. But I think for now I'm just gonna round those off. And then we'll see about sort of fixing it or adding other little windows in here later. So let's continue those up. And then let's get the smaller clay ones here and frame out a couple of nice windows. Let's do one there. And then one right over here. And then we'll go back to the round one and just continue this up a little bit. Perfect. And these windows, because they're in the tower, I might do them a slightly different variation. Maybe I want to do the glass ones in here. This could look kind of cool. Or even these ones. The sashed windows, these look really cool. I'm trying to figure out which side is the inside. I don't know if it matters for these. Yeah, I don't think it matters, but these could be really cool. I like the look of that, at least for this lower portion. And then maybe the upper windows could be a little bit more like see-through or something, just so that we can get that view. We could do more of them as well. And come to think of it, I'm also going to continue this wall up a little bit, just like that. And then we can also go on the outside here. And this is where I'm probably going to fall quite a lot, because I always jump off the edge here. But we can continue these beams up on the sides. And then, like I was mentioning, I want to do sort of a half-timbered look. So I'm going to continue across with the beams, maybe even go like this or something with them. Could put one on the top like that. I don't know, do all kinds of fancy things. We could go... I won't go on the sides of the windows just yet, but let's see. What about the slightly skinnier ones? Will those sort of do like a little bit of like a cross texture? Yeah, those look great. I might go with something like that, and then maybe something like this. Looks kind of cool. I'm just gonna do it very random here. In some random pieces. A little bit of texture there for the walls. Okay, so now let's go back to our normal beams here. Continue these up straight right here. And pull them across. There we go. And then a little bit of timbered look, kind of like we did on the other side. We'll continue down with those. And then we'll take some of the skinnier ones and do a little bit of texturing here. All right, perfect. So that'll be our tower, at least part of it. And then maybe we go across here, put a little bit of beam texture. You guys get the point there. That's kind of what I'm going for. And then for the castle wall, I believe in windows and doors at the bottom here. Yeah, we have these arch beams, which are kind of cool. So I might continue these right across at the base there, just to break up that wall, make it look a little more intentional, a little bit cleaner. I really like the look of that there. And then this whole inside section, I almost want to have like a courtyard right in the middle here. So with this, I'm going to do some arches that are facing the inside, and I'm debating how I want those to look right now. How large are these ones? These might be perfect. So I'm going to go back to floors and walls, and we're going to go to the small walls here. Those arches are essentially 2 of these wide, and so if I do them, let's see here. Yeah, this could probably work here. If I do one arch right here. So let's do that. I'm going to continue this up by one like that, and then one on this side. And then go to our arches. Put one there. And one there. Just to have a very open feel here. And then pillars and beams, I believe we have these, yeah, these square stone pillars, just to sort of thicken up the edges of the arch there. Maybe that'll look nice. Could even go all the way up, but let's just see how that looks from over here. Yeah, that's nice. And then we can sort of have like a wraparound deck on the inside of the courtyard. I think that would be actually really cool. So let's go to floors and walls. And for these, I'm going to kind of continue out with a little deck that would go here. I don't know if we could, actually, I probably can. Let's try this. Let's go out to here. And then this little area in the middle there, I'm wondering how we fill that in. I could destroy this, and then maybe it'll let me place a full floor in there. That's maybe what I'm hoping. Let's try to delete this and then drag it. Hey, there we go. Perfect. So now we can fill in that little portion of the floor. Little building trick there. And then let's do this one right here. Maybe this here, I'll rotate it out to match up with what we've done here. Same thing on this side, so let's do a rotate and then another one. And then two more, just like so. In this area, I want to be very, very open. Maybe even with some of these, this could be kind of a cool look here. If I can walk behind them. They might be a little bit too beefy for what I'm after, so let's just go with some of these ones here. Go with two pillars like this on both sides there. And we'll kind of cut the wall there, as well as here. But first I'm going to continue this wall out a little bit. So let's bring that one there, and then this one here. All right, perfect. And then I'm gonna go to my pillars again. Continue those up a little bit. And these ones right there. And I'm almost debating, because we have this deck that's continuing out, we gotta figure out a way, obviously, to do some stairs down. But I think I'm gonna get rid of those, just so we can have this kind of consistent look here. I really like the way this is looking, actually, so far. This little courtyard. That's really cool. And then just being able to kind of sneak under here if we need to on the sides and walk through. I really love that. And I'll definitely do some more like little pillars and things like that. This might be the perfect spot to use these building pieces. So we could even go with like 3 of these or something. Let's see here. So these snap on the corners. Something like this. Yeah, that's looking kind of cool. Just really adds the support for this intersection. Maybe I'll only go with 2 of them, actually. So let's do one there, and then one like that. Something similar on this side. One there, and one there, all the way on the edge. That's awesome. And then that's perfectly centered, just how we want it there. And for this one here, like I said, this back house part, I'm gonna deal with that just a little bit later. This could be a cool spot to do some spiral staircases. All right, I think I have my design here. Let's go with something like that. So now we have this little path that goes in between. I'm gonna destroy some of these pieces, just so they're not as in the way. And then you can kind of sneak under there like that. but then go up on the wall. And this is the perfect spot for a little railing to go across. And for the outside here, I mean, these railings definitely match those stair ones quite nicely. So maybe this is what I go with. And then maybe 2 like that. That snapped in so perfectly, look at that. Yeah, this is nice. I really like that. And then maybe in pillars and beams, I'm almost wondering how we could just like hide the staircase a little bit. I don't like how they glitch through like that. It's a little bit bothering. I'm not sure how we could fix that as much. I can definitely have these. I think that's a great idea. And then I'm almost wondering if we like could phase. Oh, I can't really use Z in the scroll wheel to pull it up or down right there. We could probably free place some little caps or something on them. Let's try something, because maybe I could do like that. Ooh, that works. That kind of works. Let's try it again. Right over here. If I just free place it right above. That puts a really nice cap, nice finish to our stairs there and covers everything. Okay, perfect. I like that a lot better. And now let's take the fences. We can turn snapping back on and drag these ones across. This little area here, this needs to be like a little curve or something instead of what it is right now. So because I have these little pillars to work from, maybe we could do like a little something there, and then, maybe I could use the smaller ones. Let's try. It snapped there for a second, so maybe one there, and one like that. Yeah, it'll work for now. And then maybe I could somehow finish. Maybe this could be a larger one. I could do a larger one and then a smaller one. Let's do that. There we go. Go back to our fences. And I will continue this across. Again, I'm not quite sure what I want to do over in this area, but this is already looking quite nice. And I could even put some little garden beds with some plantings or something in this courtyard. Some little barrels that are stacked underneath these, or some of the market stalls even. Just something fun I thought that I could do with this space to sort of really emphasize the fact that this fortress is built into these rocks. And I kind of wanted this bare, rocky floor right below it. So that's looking pretty darn good to me. I'm going to start working on some kind of a floor to go where the walls are. So right here, let's do this wall. Just continue it up a little bit as it is. And then I'm going to continue up a wall right there. And this is just going to be a huge arch, I think, to go over this entire area. I think that would look nice. We're going to continue with the stone to make those match up nicely, just like that. It'd be interesting if we had some like nice vertical stones that were like these ones, but vertical. And who knows, maybe with the 1.0 update, they'll add some more pieces. I know they mentioned they're going to add a lot of pieces, so I'm very curious and excited to see what we end up getting. And then here we can definitely do a continued fence line. There we go. And then temporarily we're gonna place some stairs. So let me just continue down from, let's see here, maybe this floor piece, just so that we can get the floor on the top here. This is gonna be kind of like this deck floor up above. We're gonna do this, and then we're gonna do it across here. Do one there, kind of continue it around like this here. All right, perfect. One there. Amazing. Okay, this is actually turning out way better than I had originally expected. What are we thinking now for the top of this? I think I'll keep it consistent. We'll go with these pieces. And we're just going to do a nice row along the top. Kind of rotating around. This will be good. All right, and then all the way around the outside like that. We'll figure out a way to sort of tie it in, but then this could be an interesting spot to sort of mess around with our pillars and beams, because we can take our vertical ones, sort of continue these ones up top, just like that, up to the wall. And this might even be enough variation and texture to make things look good. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see how it all looks when it's finished. Let's take a little look from the outside, and then I'll sleep so you guys can see things in the daytime. That's actually not looking half bad. I really like it. Maybe a large window or some kind of drawbridge situation that we could do to sort of like act as if there is a gate here and a little gatekeeper outpost on the wall. That could be a nice addition. All right, here we go. I think I have a design. So for this little wall here that goes over that bridge, we were just looking at it from the outside. Rather than having it the solid wall, I'm gonna do like a double arch here, something like that, and then almost create like a fence or some sort of like pillar system that goes across. I think that could be kind of cool. Like a little half stone wall, or go to pillars and beams and almost continue these down somehow. Let's see. What would look kind of nice here? Maybe we do just do like 3 of those. Let's check that out from the outside. Ooh, that looks pretty nice, except for the fact that these arches here are kind of poking down a little bit, which I don't really like. But maybe we could do this, the concept there. I think the concept is there, so maybe we just do arches above like this and either leave it at that or go back to our pillars and beams. Ooh, these ones as well. These arches could work. Let's see what these would look like. Just 2 of those. Yeah. I just kind of liked that concept to create a little bit of a fun wall there, because the view here is just awesome. Be able to see ships coming out from that direction. And then I also have an idea for the top of the castle wall, so to speak. Not really castle, but trying to keep it piratey versus like medieval castle, if that makes any sense. Check it out. I did it with this one, and I'm gonna show you that over here. Pillars and beams, we're gonna go to these ones here, and I'm just placing these, and then it makes it look like it's a little bit like textured and castle-y, which I thought could be kind of nice. Without adding all kinds of ridges and other things. Like, I feel like this is perfect just to add what I wanted to add and not feel super overkill or anything. So let's go here and then do like a few of them all the way across. And then maybe we do, let's see here, 1, 2, and then rotate it in like that. Maybe that works. Or I do some fancy design on them, I'm not sure. But let's see, 1, 2, and then rotate it in again. Let's see what that looks like out as I step back a little bit. I really like that. And then maybe we could also just put some stone beams in between things there. I think that would just kind of finish the look of it and really make it look nice. Yeah, just gives all those top wood pieces something to set on. Uh-oh. I think this is the end of me. I think I gotta go back down and walk up. Yep. Or maybe I could put some temporary stairs here. Let's see. If we go to some stairs, just to be able to get up here. There we go. Onto my little deck and then walk up. Yeah, I think that would look really nice. So windows and doors, taking these little stone arch beams and doing a little line of them, just like we did at the bottom of the wall. Just to break it up, add these segments, and make our wall look nice. That's one of the things I absolutely love about the building system in this game, compared to a lot of other games, is that we have so much like 3-dimensionality in the beams that they give us. You know, it's the only reason I was able to build that shipwreck over there, all from scratch, all little pieces of wood, for any of you that tuned in for the live stream series of building that. It was so much fun, and it's something that I think Windrose really offers. A whole lot of good building pieces and beams and The building system in this game is honestly really nice. I love it. So there we go. There's our finished wall, and I think I'm going to call that good. Alright, so the next step is now to work on the actual house part of the fort, along with this front tower here, which you can see I've already built up one more level and gone ahead and put a little floor down here. So I've just used some windows all the way around, and then built these little balconies on each corner that I thought were kind of cool. And then I also added a little rope fence to the inner edge of this walkway here. So I wanted to show you though how to build these little angled railings, just in case you're wondering how to do that. They're a little less self-explanatory than the other things. So what we'll do first is stairs and fences, and we're gonna go to these little railings and rotate them in by one little notch with the 15 degrees. And then we're gonna go to pillars and beams, and then these normal little mahogany beams. We're gonna line one side up, and then go in the middle, and then scooch it to the right or left so that they snap like that. Rotate it like this, and then push it out, kind of like that, if that makes sense. Then we're gonna take our little skinny poles, and then go ahead and free place the very center one. And there we go. Now we have these little balcony railings that we can step out on, which I think is kind of cool. And then I've gone ahead and sort of framed in what I wanted for the house, and then continued with a tiny little bump out that's just two of these little floor planks for the deck right here. So with that said, let's start working on some of the walls of this lower portion. So I'm gonna go to floors and walls, and this whole side here is going to be a solid wall. So I'm gonna fill that in along with this section right here, because this is going to be my stairway actually to get to all the levels. So I'm gonna go to my stairs and fences. We'll use these 45-degree stairs, continuing them up by 2 like that, and then something like that as well on that side. But let me first go ahead and fill in on the top here with a little floor piece, and then we'll kind of continue them up at an angle right here. There we go. That should work well. And then I can go back to my floors and sort of fill this upper portion in. And I'm going to need some more wood here soon as well. But for now, this should work, and I'll just fill it over to the walkway. And there we go. We have a little stairwell just as you kind of come inside there. I think that's going to be nice. We can go to pillars and beams and, you know, make it way more fancy. Add all kinds of things. Make it look nice. But we'll kind of do that when I deck out the interior a little bit later. But that way we can get up, it looks real clean. And then I wanted to continue with our floors and walls all the way across essentially. But this section, so this section is going to stay the way it is right here. But then I'm going to come out with these little guys. And these are going to come all the way across. At least I think this is what I want to do. Like I said, I might change things later. We'll see how everything ends up looking. But I kind of wanted to overlap the build. And then I think I'm going to do the large floor planks here, actually, for the front section. So I'm going to go across with those guys there. And then basically fill in this entire center floor area. I think that'll be nice right there. Yeah, that should work out. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this all in, all the way around. And then with these little half pieces on the back side as well, we'll fill this all the way back to about here, I think. Well, maybe about here. We'll make it even with that little front section there. Maybe destroy those for now. I'll see. But basically this portion here is going to be a tower. And so if I sort of grab my pillars and beams, we're just going to continue the corners of this up by 4 more of these little guys. Something like that. Just so that we sort of have the edge of where the tower is going. This will come into here, just like so. The tower will be, for our staircases, we'll put a little rope bridge that connects it to the top of this. I'm thinking this is the final height of this piece. Maybe I'll go up by 1 more section there. We'll just have to see how it looks. But now with that done, this whole outer section is going to be a wraparound deck. So I'm going to take these little skinny beams and outline this entire section here all the way around. And there we go. There is the floor and wraparound deck design for the top. You can see as well on these corners here, I've just been continuing up with the little pier piles there. So I might do something similar to this side, maybe just kind of going up here. And I place these little beams here because that'll be like where the wall is. So you can see the placement of those. If this is kind of the corner of this tower, I also place just a little beam, one little meter in from there. And then over by 2, and then that's the first one, over by 2, the next one. And then same thing here, like over by 2 from the very edge, and there's the first one, over by 2. To sort of line up with the walkway there. This little section is just going to be for show, just for decoration, not really going to be functional, but that will work just to kind of look consistent and continue across the front there. So I think I'm just going to continue these up. So with that, I think I'm going to call that good for sort of a framing of the upper level. I'm going to work on that in a little bit, but let's go back downstairs here to this section, because this needs a little bit more work. And I think I'm gonna go floors and walls. And let's fill in this whole section here. This would be kind of cool actually to do like all the little tiny windows in. I think that would be a really neat look here. So, or maybe like 2 small windows. All right, I'm gonna try something. Well, if we went like that, and then actually destroyed those and then put like that. That looks kind of nice. So up in the middle and then across the top, and we'll have some windows on this little walkway here. I think that's kind of nice, and I might just sort of leave it sort of this indoor-outdoor feel right here. This, I'm going to create some really cool fancy arch to go over there. And so with that, these I think are going to be... Well, I could actually go with some large windows here. I'm going to for now, and then we'll see how this looks. So I'm just going to outline like that. Looks pretty good. And then this whole side, what do I want to do over here? I could do 2 really large windows. What would make the most sense? Maybe 2 smaller ones. Because I guess like a pirate fortress, we wouldn't really want to go too crazy on the windows. And then maybe I put a larger one right here. That would look nice, I think. So I'll do this, and then in our windows and doors, for these ones, because they're sort of, they have a little bit more of a view, at least on this side, I'm going to use these windows here. The ones with the glass panes to be able to see out of. And then on this side here, I'm going to do the exact same thing with the walls as I did on the previous side. This time though, I'm going to put a window right in this side. So let's see here. Last time we had a window there, so maybe I will do 2 smaller ones here as well, just like this side. So let's do something like that. And then this side here could be a larger one. So I will just outline that. And then this section is going to be the vault, where maybe I could have some treasures. I feel like it's kind of in this back corner, way up on the cliff. You know, I think that could be kind of a cool spot. There could also be like the jail and stuff, you know? So maybe like that could be this section, or maybe a section underneath all of this. Could be the jail, maybe like even a walled off section of this. But I don't know, I thought a vault could be a really cool thing to do over here. So this one, I'm going to do some windows and then maybe do these ones to match what we had around the sort of castle wall section there, but be a little bit more closed off and secure than just the glass panes. So we'll do this around, and then because this is sort of the vault section, I'm gonna really try to close, like really close it off to the outside area. So I'm gonna go to the walls again, and we're going to continue up with a stone wall there so that we just have a small door right here. So I'll go to pillars and beams, kind of close this area off. I know it's getting a little bit dark in here, but hopefully you guys can still see a little bit. I'll have to throw some torches down in here soon. And then maybe the next little door section, we could go in here and then get this wall, put it up like that, and have a little doorway right in here. So I'll go to the pillars and beams and kind of continue this section up, maybe all the way up like that, and then little thing right there, and then these will actually be official doors. So let's see, what would look best for the vault here? Something that's secure. These doors look kind of cool. So I'm gonna put one right here, and then that way, you know, in theory, it would have like a strong key for it or something. And then I'll put one, yeah, let's put one right there. I think that's pretty good. So that can open out. So this is going to be the vault. And speaking of a vault for holding treasures, I have something special to show you today in regards to holding your real-life treasures, in other words, your credit cards and your money. This is the Mech Wallet from PunCube. It's a Kickstarter project that they recently announced, and they just sent one over to me to check out and to share with you guys. And after using it for a bit now, I have to say, it is a pretty cool little gadget, because beyond just being a normal high-quality wallet, it also doubles as a little fidget toy, which is super, super cool. So if you sit at your desk a lot for work or for gaming like me, then you don't have to buy another fidget toy. You can just fidget with your wallet, which most of us carry every day. And they did a phenomenal job on the design of this. It's super high quality. It has a bunch of different variants on their website as well. You can get it with the money clip, a little MagSafe, so you can stick it on the back of your phone, which is really cool. You can also get it in titanium if you want it to last a super long time. I'm going to leave a link for their website in the description, so if you're interested, then do be sure to check it out. I think it's pretty cool. So with that said, back to the video. Alright, so I am now on the back side of the build. There is the outside of the vault, and I'm going to do this big arch over here, like I was talking about a little earlier. So let me go to my stairs and just create a little bit of scaffolding. So we have something to stand on up here, just a little bit closer. And then I'll go to the pillars and beams, and let's start with these shallow ones, the 26 degrees. And I'll kind of start from maybe about down there. That looks pretty good, and I think that's gonna meet right up at the top like that. Looks good. And then we're gonna go with the 45 degree ones. And those ones are going to go kind of in the middle like that. Let's try that over here as well. Something like that. And then we're gonna go with the really steep ones here. And let's see, these ones could maybe go right here. Well, actually, I think I may just go kind of on the sides with them, something like that. And then take my vertical ones. There we go, yeah, and we'll go up with those. I just wanted to make something that looked like it was supporting the upper structure there. And then every now and then I'll just take my little 45 degree beams and sort of tie in the upper level with the lower portion. And destroy these now, see how that looks. That's definitely looking really cool. Could do something big and grand, put some neat lights or something in this area. And then I might even sort of tie in our overhang of the upper deck there into the lower portion with a few braces here as well. So let's kind of go in like that, and then in like that, just to sort of support it there. Something similar on the other side here. And now I'm going to do some more work on the upper level portion here. You can see that I've gone ahead and just continued the walls around this section of the staircase room. and then put a little roof over it, or just the next floor for the loft. I've also just taken some of the really skinny beams here. Let's see, I can press V again there, perfect. These little skinny ones, just to go on the sides of these guys, just to make it look nice there, like there's a little bit of support. And then, like I said, this is going to be kind of the inner wall. There's going to be the outer section. So for coming in here, I want it to be a very open feel, but still a little bit closed off at the same time. So let me go around here and we'll see what makes sense for kind of a central door area. I think I'm going to have a door here and a door right over here. So let me go to my floors and walls here. And this level I'm thinking is going to be some of the wood. I think this will look nice. So we're going to go up and around. That's going to be a door. And this right here is going to be a door. That should work. And then I want a huge window in the front section here. So let's go across. Let's go up and around. Just something super large. And we're going to go to our windows. And then maybe 2 of these. Let's put it like that. That looks good. And then a similar thing to the rest. We're going to outline the doors here with some nice pillars. There we go. And what this is going to be is maybe like a meeting room, maybe for planning or all the maps and stuff, maybe drawing the maps and other gatherings, because we're going to have a separate tavern building. So I'm not really going to put many like amenities or facilities or things in this building. It's more just going to be almost like a little town square, you know. We'll have the courtyard. Maybe if there's talks or gatherings or things like that, it honestly could work out pretty well. You know, whether the pirate leader stands up here and talks to his crew who's kind of sitting around on the balcony of the courtyard, and then there's some planning that goes on in here, and then maybe a little loft for something up here, maybe some beds or something along those lines. So yeah, I'm just going to finish out these walls here. I like what we've got so far there. And then this front section here, let's see, that one maybe I just do really, really open. So I'm debating, I think I'm gonna go with maybe just a large pillar there, one there, and one there. That looks good. And then maybe I'll even leave it at that, just so we could have sort of this indoor-outdoor seating. I really want a nice view in this area. I think that would look super nice, because look at what we can see. You can see so far out there for the ships. So that looks pretty cool. And then similar thing for this back side. I think I'm going to have exactly what I did on the front mirrored on the back section. So we're going to do a little door opening right there. And then one right here. And then the large window wall in the center. And then I'm also on these sides going to, I think, just fill those in possibly. Maybe a small window, actually. Let's do a small window on these ones. So we'll do one here and then one here as well. Like that. And then we'll go to our windows and doors. Do one like this. And while I'm at it, I'll just fill these in. We'll fill those in with some of the doors. I'm debating doors or if I just do openings there, but if we could find a door that suits it well, maybe even these ones that kind of have the decoration on them. These look pretty cool. Yeah, I kind of like those beams there. Looks nice. Now you can kind of enter into there. We've got a bit of the planning room. And then this section is going to get filled in as well. So I'm going to just drag some of those up on both sides. And let's take a look at how that is looking so far. There we go. Oh, that definitely looks really cool. Nice to kind of have like an enclosed space over there. So now we're kind of ready for the roof on it, as well as continuing the towers up. So at the top, I'm going to do a little bump out, essentially, right on the edge of these pieces. So where each of these pillars are, right here and here, we're going to leave this blank, but then let me go to my roofs, and we're going to do, I think the steep ones are going to look nice. The large reed roofs. Let's try these ones. So we're gonna go up like that and then skip that middle section, over by 3, and then skip this little section, and then over by 2. All right, and I'm just going to continue these up all the way to the top so that everything kind of meets in a point. I'll probably have to get some more plant fiber and wood for this, but we'll do that on both sides. I'll have to build up a little bit taller as well. Let's see if it'll let me. Yep, it'll get all the way up to the top there. Perfect. I think that's going to be a good height. I'm going to come down by 1 like that. We'll just come all the way across the top here. And then rotating it around again. Actually, this is going to be the open section. We're going to want this to be all filled in. And then this to be filled in as well. And one little section across the top there, since we're going to do some dormers kind of facing out. And so for those dormers, we'll just take our floors and walls and go with these inverted ones. I'm going to go up like that. And I think I'm going to make them kind of 2 of these wall sections high. So we'll go to floors and walls again. And I'm going to make them almost bump out another notch up here. I think maybe that could look kind of cool. So let's go out by those little guys. And then up by these ones here. And then take our floors. And with these small ones, I'm going to go out like this. And that's going to be sort of our dormer area. At least I think that could look nice. Let me just gauge it and see what we're looking like from over here. It does look pretty cool. When we put some flags on the top and everything like that, I think that's going to look pretty nice. And yes, I do like it kind of bumping out here. So if I go to pillars and beams, let's go ahead and kind of tie this in here. Even put a nice wide one across the bottom, since these are going to be the walls, kind of edges of this building. So we'll put some of those in, and then go to my walls again. And this is just going to be a large window at the bottom there. So we can fill that in, just like so. And then I will go upstairs again and tie that roof into the top. So we go back in here. And if you remember, if any of you watched my Tavern build, I have a big build video on that where we go into a little more detail on some of the dormers and all of that good stuff. So we're going to do something similar here, a very similar style for the roof here as well as what I did on the Tavern. So I'm going to go ahead and go out just like that. Come in like that. And then I believe here we're going to want to take these narrower ones and come in like that and in like that. And then I can take the corners and put a couple there and add a couple there. Grab our walls and we can kind of continue up to the top here with these ones. So I'm gonna put a couple of them there like that, and then like that. And maybe I will even do another window up here. I think that's a nice spot for one. So let me go ahead and do that. And then from the outside as well, I'm going to continue a roof overhang. So we're gonna just create ourselves a little bit of temporary scaffolding here, if that makes sense. And I'm gonna go back to my roofs. And we're gonna go to these little ones here and just put them kind of like this on both sides. If I can kind of get it rotated in the right direction. There we go, that's nice. And we'll do the whole top section and everything like that a little bit later as well, just to kind of bring them up. But I'm going to do exactly what I did right here, but on this side right there. We could even get some of our beams. Let's see here. It'll look nice over here. Yeah, this would be cool. I want to do some beams here. And then we'll do like a nice little ridge along the top and everything like that. Even take these guys and do a little bit of like supports out there like that. Yeah, that's looking really good. take some of our little logs and put a little bit of texture on this as if they're being supported with a little overhang there. Something along those lines. All right, so I'm basically going to do that and then make it 3 more times. 1 here and then 2 on the back side. And there we go. I now have the front side finished, as you can see here. I also went ahead and did a nice little ridge along the top of the roof and a nice little point off here to the left. This is exactly the same as my tavern, so I'm going to leave that build video in the description for you to check out in more detail if you're wondering how to do that little roof ridge. So it turned out really nice. I also continued this tower just up as a full square and then overlapped it by 1 little meter all the way around the top, and then just did the same little castle wall as we did around the outer walkway here. So I think that turned out pretty nice. And then this little boardwalk that you see above my hat here, that is just temporary. I want to do a rope bridge, or at least attempt to build something similar about there. So this tower here has been continued up as well, with again the little wall at the top of it, and then I've started building up a little bit there. We're gonna do that on camera now because that part gets a little bit different. So yeah, basically just continuing those up. Let's walk on the inside and I'm gonna show you a little bit of some changes that I decided to make when doing this. I've already started also on a little bit of the interior here, but I decided to do a fireplace over here because why not? I thought it would look really nice to have a fireplace. And then rather than the big wraparound deck, I ended it here, and this whole section is a chimney. So if we walk up top here, rather than having the dormer, so if we're up in the top here, we have the little dormer here, the one here, which you saw from the outside on the front, and then this part is a fireplace instead of a dormer. So that's again the fireplace stacked on top of the one below it, and a chimney. And then we have the dormer over here. So I only ended up doing 2 more of these dormers. And then you can see I went ahead and did some nice beams on the ceiling there, just to add a nice little look there. And then same thing, I just kept stacking the stairs, stacking the windows essentially. I made a little arch here just so you can look out over this lower, maybe captain's quarters area or something. This is the door here that then goes out onto a mini deck. And this will be the rope bridge that goes up to this little walk around. And I put some cannons just for decoration up here. I thought it would be kind of nice. And then this part, this little tower portion that I'm using the rounded walls for, is going to be the start of maybe just a little high lookout point up there that I'm going to continue around. So we'll do that here shortly as well. I also decided to continue this tower basically up by every 2 of these wall pieces is how tall each level of this tower is. And so it continues up again, and we have another little door out onto this deck just because I like the lookout points there. And then we go all the way to the top, and you can see I've just temporarily placed the bonfire here so that we can build, and that ended up working out very nicely. You can see there the top of the chimney, again using the same exact techniques that I used in my tavern build video to sort of put the furnace inside the top of the chimney to make it look like there's smoke coming out. And let's go on the back side here so you guys can see how that looks. You can see the chimney there, and then the other dormer right here. So that whole little section is just the chimney going up. And I've started adding a few little details here as well. And just kind of zoom out a tiny bit so you can see. A couple little details on the deck. Decided to do sort of like a little wraparound deck out back. And then some little buttresses here that kind of come out of these towers. I thought it was just missing something when it came to looking structurally sound, especially from the backside, since we have a lot of large, flat, boxy surfaces. So the more little things you can do, the better it's going to look, and I thought those could look really nice. And if it was real architecture, they would serve the purpose of better supporting this tower. So I kind of did those with some stone columns on each side there. I wrapped this deck around to this side so that we sort of have this little like catwalk that'll go out here, and then maybe have a little something over here and connect in there. So yeah, I have done a little bit of work here and there off camera. A build like this is just too big for me to sort of pre-plan everything to show you guys in full detail on camera. But hopefully by taking a look at everything as I start building, for more advanced builders at least, you will be able to follow along with this even pretty exactly. So hopefully you're enjoying the video so far. If you are, please leave a like, subscribe, always appreciate it, and it helps the channel. So with that said, let's walk up to the top and maybe start working on this rope bridge or maybe that tower up there. I have some plans, but this is where things are going to get a little bit interesting, and I wanted to do this part all on camera so that you guys can follow along. So for the rope bridge, let me go back into more of a close-up building. So I'm going to kind of come down with some shallow beams there. And then let's go across with these ones as our little floor planks. All right, so I'm going to have maybe like a little floor plank there, and then let's see here. Let's go, almost thinking like a 45 coming down. Actually, maybe I'm going to do that. Okay, so I'm going to destroy this. This is going to be a bit of trial and error. I don't really have an exact plan for this. So we're going to come down with a 45 right there. And then we're going to go across with one of these 26s from both sides there, just so it really looks like it's hanging down like that, because technically we can walk up a 45 pretty easily. And then this section here, let's see, what would make the most sense to put here for the little center ropes? Maybe these guys here, that should work. And then I'm going to just temporarily place a floor piece right there so I can hop down. I'm probably going to fall a lot in this process, but we're going to try. And then let's go back to pillars and beams, and I'm going to come down with the 45s right here and here. Interesting that we don't have a flat beam that is sort of this large weathered beam. We have these ones, but they're just too, like, those are really big, so I'm not quite sure how to make this all match just yet, other than using these smaller ones, or maybe even going with something like this for the flat ones. I'm not sure yet. Maybe we'll stick with the skinny ones for now. So these will kind of come across like that, and we're gonna come down with those like that. That looks pretty good as far as our rope bridge goes, at least for the rough shape of it. Yeah, okay, let's go with something like that for now. That's not looking too bad. Or maybe it was these ones. Yeah, these ones are the thicker ones slightly, so let's just kind of continue with these ones across. Same thing on this side, just to make it look a little bit better. All right, and then, like I said, we're taking these ones as sort of our planks that are gonna go across, and we're gonna have to free place a lot of these as well. So for now, I'm just gonna kind of put these here. I don't know if we can technically fall between... Ooh, just barely. We kind of can fall between those. That's interesting. Okay, so we have those. Let me put one right here. And then let's try and free place these a little bit. This is going to be a little bit challenging here. And I'm not quite sure how it's going to go. So maybe we free place one, and then two, and then 3, and then 4, maybe? And then we kind of like delete every other one. I'm not fully sure how this is gonna work. It'll look kind of like a rickety bridge, and then we can kind of snap off of those ones. Maybe like that. Honestly, I don't know how this is gonna work. I've never tried to do sort of a rope bridge before. So maybe we do 2 and 3, and then we delete these 2. Okay, we're kind of getting the hang of it. Then we turn snapping on, kind of bring that one across there. Okay, let's kind of go with this system for a little bit to at least finish this bottom portion. So 1, 2, and then 3 that are free placed, and then destroy this one, and then turn snapping on and connect it. And there we go. We're sort of getting these little planks put together here. And then as far as the fences go, we could kind of have these ones going here along the edges. This looks pretty nice. And then we could take our skinny beams. So if we do pillars and beams grab these little guys and kind of go up. Oops. Didn't want one quite right there. I don't know where it went. It kind of phased in. But yeah, we're going to go up with these. Something like that. And then go with our really skinny ones. These ones here. Just sort of create these little handrails to connect everything together. And I'm hoping that this is going to kind of create the skeleton we're after for the rope bridge. Let's see here. One of these ones. Let's go on the sides there. Looks pretty good. I'm almost debating even going across the top of these. Just with, yeah, just so it looks consistent with the rest of it. Because that's one of the tricks that we're going to hopefully use to make this look decent. See how that's looking from down here. And then I'm going to sleep so it's daytime. Ooh. It's not looking half bad. Of course, I'm going to fall down all the time, but there you can see it from down below. I definitely think that's going to pass as a rope bridge once we're done with it. Alright, so I've slept, but it's now pouring rain now, so I guess you guys will just have to watch in the dark for a little bit. But now the next thing we're going to do is try to go up the sides here. And I think for this shallow bend, we're going to turn off snapping and still go with our little 3 rule. So we're going to go 1, and then 2, and then 3. Just kind of following this curve. And then same thing down here. We're going to 1, and then 2, and 3. And then destroy the 2 middle ones. 1, 2, and 3. And destroy the 2 middle ones. And then we are going to turn snapping back on. And continue those across. Something like that. And our character can walk over that just fine. And then for this top section, I think I'm going to go every 2. Because as we get steeper here for this 45, going 3 just is going to be a little bit sparse. So we're going to go 1, and then scooch it over as far as we can, and then 2. All right, and destroy that middle one. And then we're going to go 1 and 2, and destroy this middle one. All right, and then turn snapping back on and place both of those. And there we go. We can walk up this very smooth. It kind of dips down like a little rope bridge. Did the same thing on this side previously just to make sure it worked. So there we have it. There is our rope bridge, and that is looking pretty darn cool. All right, so like I said earlier, this is what I have so far with the tower, just these round walls, and then 2 of these little single walls, just rotated like one little 15-degree click each time, just so that we line up the corners here. So this door is exactly 1 plank back from the rope bridge so that we could walk fully around this. And then we kind of have this like triangle wedge here where I started the spiral staircase inside of it so that we can walk fully around here, which is nice. So I'm just going to continue these walls all the way up top, at least to the door frame there. So something like this, and then continuing that up. And then let's see if I can continue around with those rounded ones as we're up top here. So I'll press V there. Yeah, that does work. Okay, perfect. So that's what I'm gonna do here. I'm gonna continue around with those. Let's go to this side and continue up with that. That looks awesome. So now we have a full rounded structure that we can walk inside. It's a little bit cramped, but it does work out. So there we have it. And these go up a total of, let's see here, 1, 2, 3. I just wanted to count so you guys can see here. 3, 4, 5, and 6 in terms of the final height of this, which is essentially 2 blocks or 2 little ones of these lower than the top of that tower, which is intentional. I don't want things to all be at the perfect height and stuff. I just think it would look a little bit nicer with a little bit of variation there. So now I'm going to go back to floors and let's try to get these triangle pieces and make something out of this if we can. So maybe I do something like this. All right, here we go. I found the trick. We just had to sort of create our little dial in the center with the triangles and then expand out from those, and it ended up lining up perfectly. We just had to replace this triangle piece that I placed with a square one, And there we go, everything lines up. There's a tiny gap in the stairs. Maybe we'll fix that later with a little free placed floor. But this will work for now. And then I'm basically just alternating a little square piece and then 3 of the triangle ones. So we got 1 and then rotate around like this and kind of place it in the middle there. I think the issue is we sort of have the staircase in the way, which does make this challenging. So I'm going to try and place our triangle pieces before the stair, just so that we can kind of finish this out. So we have to finish our center circle here and then go out from all the sides with these square pieces. And then that gives us the snapping points we need for our triangles. At least in theory it should. That staircase is also in the way right now. It looks like, I'm not really sure why this one's not snapping and all the rest of them. There we go. We had to kind of destroy that section there. So yeah, we can hopefully replace the stairs after. That is one of the tricks I found with Windrose, is the order in which you build everything matters significantly. So now that we have those, we should be able to delete the rest of this and then place our stairs back, hopefully. So let's go ahead and continue this around here, something like that, and then 1 more up here. There you go. And then we can go back to our floors and just grab that little triangle piece and maybe just kind of place it like that, something along those lines, so that we can climb out to our little deck over here. And then this piece will be triangles all the way around like this, because I want a full sort of 2 meters out walk around. This is a little bit similar to what I did in the lighthouse build, so feel free to check out that video for any more info if you'd like. So we're going to take our triangles again, put them on both sides, just like so. And this will create our circle around. Alright, and then we'll take the square ones, put them in the centers like that. And I think that is going to be a nice little lookout point. And this one, I'm thinking we'll just have a little rope fence around it. I think that would be nice. So there's our little circle. We have the little beam there. Maybe I'll go to pillars and beams, or actually stairs and fences. We'll put a little edge on there, just like that. Make it look really clean and nice. And this maybe could even be a little flag that I could put in the center. I don't know. Something fun. We'll just outline the outsides with these medium pillars. This is something I like to do on all of my decks, all the lower decks and everything. I have outlined them with these little medium pillars just to give it sort of an edge trim before going up with the railing. And then we are just going to continue all the way around with these rope railings here, which I think will look nice. I'm debating putting little poles in the centers of them, but we'll see. I might add a little bit of detail later. I'm gonna go down underneath now, and we need some support to this little shelf portion. So I'm thinking if I go into maybe windows and doors, I'm debating. These arches might be too large, but I just want to see maybe how they would look to put one of these. Ooh, it kind of snapped in like that. Oh, that looks kind of nice. Is that in the way of the stairs? It's not really. Maybe that's what I want to do. Okay, how did I get that snap point though? Oh, wait, I had it right there. So it's like almost on the inside of these walls. I have no idea how that snap point works, but it does. And that way it just looks like a little bit of extra support. Looks like the stone is coming up as well. Yeah, that looks super cool. Wonder if we can do it sort of in the middle of these. Ooh, you know what? We actually can. Oh my gosh, that is perfect. Okay, that's what we're gonna do. If I can do that all the way around. And then we're obviously gonna have to test that I can walk up the stairs and there's no issues there. But if I can, then that just looks super clean. You kind of just have to move your mouse around, or if you're playing on controller or something, till you get it to snap in, but it's not too hard. And then we can walk around. Okay, That is perfect. Oh my gosh. Check it out. So we have our full little castle walk area. I am thinking around that center portion of putting some kind of railing. I don't know whether the rope or maybe this one actually. I'm not sure. Maybe that'll look good around this center section where the stairs are. And then we can kind of continue it around. That one stair railing can kind of phase into that one there. And then we could do like one there and one there. And then a little flag. I don't know. Maybe something like that. It does look kind of nice. And then maybe I could just fill in these little center sections like halfway. So 1, 2, like in between there, just to kind of clean it up a little bit. I don't know, something like that. And then like this, one on the corner, one in the very middle. And kind of wrap that around. Maybe that looks good. I do kind of like the railing here. I feel like it's a nice touch, and then we can, like I said, maybe put a little flag up there or something. Go into decoration. I don't know if I'll do a huge one right there, like because we have this massive flagpole. I was thinking this one could go on the bigger tower up there, and down here we could just put like, I don't know, maybe one of these little guys. This could look kind of nice. Yeah, look at that. That looks cool. Okay, and again, maybe I'll change it. Maybe I'll add more flags. Who knows? But that is looking pretty sweet. Oh my gosh. Look at that little walk around. Heck yeah. Okay, so now let's climb up to the very top of this section. And I think this section, I might actually put a roof over it. So I'm going to take these mahogany columns here, and then essentially a little, sort of leaving this little 2x2 square in the center. I'm going to take these and continue them up by 4. And hopefully this isn't going to be too tall. I should have enough support up here for what I want to do. Maybe I'll delete the very top ones, and those ones will be these little caps, just to kind of match the wall a little bit. Something along those lines. And then I want to come out by 1 on each side, if that makes sense. So we're going to sort of take, well, actually, let's see here. Let's go to these ones. And on all of the corners here, let's go 1 and then 2. And kind of rotate around, 3 and 4. Rotate it around, all the way around the outside. That looks pretty good. And then I want to take the floors and walls, and we're going to do a little perimeter around here. So let's grab these ones and kind of connect in between these outer sections. Like this. And then maybe on the front here and the back, we leave it in the same rotation and fill in the corners. And then this, like I said, is going to be a roof. So let's go back to our roof pieces. And I'm going to do the steep roof again for this one. So we're going to take these. I'm going to need some more plant fiber up here. But we're essentially just going to do it to where there's a corner on everything and it all meets at a point in the center. So we're almost meeting at a point now. We just have this little square at the very top. And what I'm going to do is fill that section in with one of these planks and then go to the decoration. And this is where I want to place the really large flagpole. So let's do something maybe sideways like that. That looks nice. And I'm hoping that I can then take my roof corners, now that that's placed, and kind of phase them up into the flagpole. I think that's actually going to work really nicely. So it sort of looks like there's a little hole coming out of the top there. The bottom of it is a little bit hidden. Something just like that. And now I can destroy the scaffolding. My gosh, we are really high up now. This is awesome. All right, and we could even build a little higher in this. I think the building integrity is kind of the perfect height in this game. We really can go pretty tall with it. So that is looking pretty nice. I think I'm going to go back to pillars and beams and then take these medium ones and sort of fill in underneath everything. I think this could look kind of nice. Oop. Let's destroy those and then maybe Go in like that. Yeah, that looks good. All right, so maybe out here, just to kind of add a little bit of support here. And then to make it look nice from the inside, let's get these thicker beams here and kind of go around in a square. I think that'll look good. Just to add a little bit more to the build. Perfect. So that gives us plenty of headroom, sort of, for the fire if we wanted a fire up here. And I do think that is kind of nice. We could add some cannons up here, some little chairs, stuff like that. So I'll do a little bit of decorating as well. But let's take a step back. I just want to see how those roof lines look from down here close to our pirate ship. And then this here is going to be the outline for the tavern for this pirate town. Oh, look at that. That is looking quite awesome. All right, so now all that's left really, which is a pretty long process, as some of you may know, but I'm gonna spend some time decking out the interior, doing some little decorations, adding some little details, some texture to the walls or decks or things like that where they need it. But that is looking super cool. And then we'll see if I can get like a little high up shot, build out a little platform or something, so you can see the whole thing at once in its full glory when it's finished. All right, you guys, it is now finally finished. I am super, super happy with how it turned out. I've just built myself a little temporary scaffolding here so that you can see the far back look of the fortress. And I've done the full interior and some details to the exterior with the help of my good friend Poison. There she is.
Hello.
Heck yeah. So Poison, many of you might remember her from her amazing Pirate Village build that we toured on one of the live streams. She is an amazing builder and decorator, and so yeah, she helped me and inspired me a lot to do a lot more clutter and take my interior design to the next level with this build. So we can't wait to walk you through it. Starting on this side, Poison suggested we kind of sink some plants into here with the little planter boxes. You'll see this throughout the build, especially on some of the exterior sections. It just adds a little bit of interest and detail to the outside there. So this is kind of the back gate. We may as well just circle around from this side, Poison, and then go into the front and show them there.
Oh god, hopefully I don't fall again. Oh
yeah,
no!
No fall. I know, I have a catwalk kind of going into the middle of nowhere. That will connect to something eventually, but figure we could walk around it for now, going onto the back deck, where I just have some little details and plants and everything. And then same thing here. This one also just goes off into nowhere, which will eventually connect to other buildings and such. But that is the back of the pirate fortress. I'm very, very happy with how that turned out. Again, just a few more details.
I'm still obsessed.
Yeah, it was so cool because, like you were saying, you like how I do the architecture of the build itself, and then yeah, you were excited to come on and just clutter the place out.
Yeah, my brain does not do architecture like this. This is crazy.
Hey, yours was amazing though. Poison does a lot of like smaller builds to sort of deck out and fill in, and very free-form, free-placing, things that I'm not as good at, so we're kind of the perfect combo for this. This was very fun.
Yeah, I really enjoy like coming in to help.
Heck yeah. This is the front of the build. As we kind of walk up, again, these stairs are all just temporary. This will all be little houses and things going down to the tavern. But I absolutely love the front of it. Again, some more plants kind of glitched into things there. Little bits of furniture, chains, little cannon there. And I also built a little crane, I guess. The story behind that is so that they can lift up big barrels of gunpowder or cannons from this deck right here up onto the fortress wall. And so I took the little crane piece, put some chains hanging down, and that's where that is there. Some lanterns hanging, and then we enter the front of the fort here. And then I guess to the left here, if we go around this area, this is kind of the maybe alchemy brewing area, testing new recipes for gunpowder or all the wine and rum and all that good stuff. So a tiny little brewing area, kind of cozy in here. And I just left this open so that you can just continue walking all the way around into the courtyard of the build. And we have the stairs that go down. Again, just adding some little details, and Poison did a great job of all the plants. You added this really cool little garden over here with the fountain. Yeah, that looks really awesome. We were thinking like, oh, maybe the fountain could go in the middle or something and open up the courtyard, put these stairs on this side instead or something. But I think that worked out really well. So it's almost like the private little captain's gardens or something like that over there. And then we have the doors that go out to the back deck that you guys saw over there. And the doors that go out to the front here with maybe the little guard to stand watch right there. When we go up here, I left the walkways pretty clear, which is nice. Couple little barrels here and there and everything. We have the little guard's watch, of course, has to have his rum on the ready. We go into the vault, and this is where Poison really inspired me.
I love this room.
Yeah, you really love to sort of pack things in really tight, and a lot of them in your build. And I think with the build pieces in this game, they all just go so nicely together. And so yeah, I took a lot of inspiration from Poison's storage and just started packing all kinds of chests and trinkets and all kinds of stuff together in the vault room here, which I think worked out pretty well. Using the chains and a lot of the shiny metal things, I thought maybe made it look a little more like valuable or something in there. Then we head out on this side and we just kind of have the podium. So for gatherings, when the captain has to do announcements for the crew and everything, maybe they could be standing around the balcony, and got his little podium over here, and Poison snuck a little cup of beer on the railing. This is
He definitely
great.
doesn't read upside down either.
Oh yeah. Poison, I think, is saving me from a lot of the commenters who are gonna notice every detail. I placed the book upside down and all kinds of other things that she came through and fixed. It was great. I definitely needed her for the interior of this place. So yeah, let me know how you guys like it in the comments below. This is a very different style than I've done for some of the interiors. Kind of just went all out, freeformed it, and just went with it to see how it would look. So back here we have a little cozy nook area, I guess, just to kind of hang out for the drunken pirates on their lunch break or something on the lower deck. We head up here, and like I was mentioning before, this is kind of the living quarters, the eating area and meeting room and stuff. So on this side, we just have a little couch using the same couch design as I used in my Tavern build, just with some of the round logs instead of the square beams, just because I thought that looked really nice here with some of the newer furniture that wasn't unlocked at the time I did my Tavern build. But yeah, really love the little couch design since we don't have those in the game. And you can sit on it. I use a little bench for that, and that ends up working out really well. Then we did a little juice bar over here, or the winery, the rum bar, I guess. I don't know if pirates would really drink juice. They wouldn't be that healthy.
Give me a grape juice box, please.
Grape juice, yes. So for these, you can't sit in these stools. They are actually mini tables that we used as high stools. And because this counter area was a bit high, you can see if we're standing on the floor, it's like up to the chin. So I did a raised floor in here. That was something that Poison suggested so that I could be up higher as the bartender, and then everyone could kind of sit around there, as well as a little leaning bar on the side there. And then over here we have the back deck. I don't know if you can fit out here, Poison, then I can close the door to go to both sides. It's tight, but you know, a nice little spot to overlook whatever else we have down there in the future, which is cool. And then it gets stopped by the chimney on that side there. And then if we go back in, my character doesn't get stuck on those little poles sticking up. It always happens. The toe stubbers.
Yeah, I got splinters in my feet.
Yeah. I know, before we recorded this, you were like, oh, somebody's gonna comment about you not wearing shoes again in here.
These are my home clothes.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got the front deck, similar to the back one. Not super interesting, but it does wrap around fully. And so we've got the door that goes from the wraparound wall as well, all the way around the deck. And then, like I said, the little meeting room here with a little map and stuff. Nice little fireplace area. And then a larger back deck here, which I thought looked nice, just with the view of the ocean there and the cliffs here.
Oh, and the ships.
Yeah, this might be a cool spot for like a little shipyard kind of down on the cliffs or a little trading post or something. So yeah, super excited to continue building that. If we walk all the way around the castle wall, I guess I'll just kind of do one level at a time. In this area, this is kind of the smithy area, or the crafting area for repairing weapons and all that good stuff. Did like a cool custom chandelier along the top to kind of look like antlers with chains hanging from it or something like that, just because we had a nice high ceiling there. So yeah, we had a lot of fun with this. Just got really creative and placed a lot of things in here.
We dubbed this the ant flake, the ant flake chandelier.
Yeah, the ant flake is what we called it. Yeah, the snowflake that looks like it's made from antlers. Yeah. Yes. Little telescope on the walkway and a lantern hanging from the rope bridge there, which I thought was kind of cool from above. Here is the top of that crane that I also did a little bit of work to make it a little bit custom there with another wheel and such. And then we head into the room again that we just came up through that door and back up these stairs, and this is the cozy captain's quarters. So in the front there, a little reading nook, and then a corner couch, the same couch design. I just did it twice essentially to create a little corner couch with the table. We have all of the rafters, and Poison did most of this area. This was actually one of the first areas that she did to kind of make it really cozy. Lots and lots of stuff, maybe a little like laundry corner here. This area was for like if the captain had to meet privately with someone, then maybe this was like his little office or something. And I'll let you walk through the back section, Poison. You've done a lot of work on here. If there's anything that was like, you know, what did you think of the space when doing it?
Well, this was the first one I did, because all the other rooms kind of had like little pieces that you had started, but this one was like blank, and I was like, there's lots of space. It's a lot bigger of a space than I typically have decorated, so it was a little bit intimidating. But like I told you, it was the first time I put furniture down and like didn't have to delete them. It just kind of worked out.
Yeah. Oh, it's awesome. We just kind of went with a full, like, heavily cluttered design of just to really make the space feel cozy up here. Some plants, bookshelves, barrels. The amount of things you kind of phased into each other with the furniture items is really cool in here, because this is a hard thing to do in Windrose. That's one of the things I wish about the game that they could change, is that when you have build pieces, there's always a red spot where you're not allowed to place them. They have such big hitboxes, and it's very hard to kind of glitch them into each other. So Poison did an amazing job of sort of cluttering this area with a lot of build pieces that were hard to fit together and made it work. We actually have like wardrobes here with chests inside of them in order to store, you know, clothing or armor, things like that. Of course, the cozy fire, little clock and everything in the corner. So I love this room. I love this room a lot, this little attic area.
Yeah, it turned out really good.
Yeah, definitely. And then up here, I have a little library, maybe for the special books of the village, or kind of the old ones that hold a lot of knowledge on fighting and war and all kinds of stuff like that, maybe are up here for the soldiers to train. So yeah, just a cozy little library that I thought was a nice space overlooking the captain's quarters there. And when I was building this, Poison, you were saying like, oh, if the captain's down there, he could yell at whoever's up here to come and help him, or they could talk to each other through the opening. Then we go out on this little section. This is the rope bridge here. Again, taking a look at that side of the fortress. And this part I kept pretty simple, just to keep the walkways open. We walk all the way around with the cannons on all of the sides, and then in through the door, around the spiral staircase here. And out at the top, I just have the flag and some candles. And a nice little railing around here so that we have full visibility. This place is technically even higher than the lighthouse down there. So the lighthouse you'll see from farther away sailing in, but it is kind of cool. I could even go way higher than I did, but I didn't want it to feel too castle-y. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Does it look kind of like it's piratey or medieval castle-y? I was trying to make it look piratey instead, but we'll see. So if we head back down this staircase, go up here and up the stairs again, and this is supposed to be the like weapon area, the barracks. I'll let you guys comment what you will about my makeshift armor stands. Poison came in, she's like, oh, they look like pumpkin heads. It's the pothead pirates, okay? They're holding their swords, they have all the stuff on the wall. I made do with what we had.
Oh, they're holding hands. I just realized.
They're holding hands, yeah. It's a cult
That's
in
cute.
here. Some butter knives in case they need them, you know. And anything that they need to like be up here and get right up top to the lookout section, which I thought was cool to do the barracks right under it. So this is the tallest part of the entire village, pretty much. Got the little telescopes for looking out, and little extra cannons, some barrels of gunpowder, all that good stuff. The view from up here is really cool. If I go into building maybe, and then kind of press V to get way up here, more at like the roof line and stuff. You can definitely see from pretty far away, and I love how this area turned out. So with that said, you guys, that is the finished build. I am super stoked, and thank you so much, Poison, for helping with the interior. This was kind of one of my first collabs, actually, with someone helping with a full interior for a build video. We have a lot of times on stream, or I'll have guests from the stream come in and help me clutter the inside. We have some awesome, super creative people in the community. But yeah, thank you so much, Poison. It was awesome, and I absolutely loved your build. We'll have to do an updated tour on the channel, so y'all be sure to subscribe for an updated tour of Poison's build, and of course, more of my build videos. Many of you are interested in the world files, and so I do leave them available for all bronze members on YouTube or Patreon. You can download them in my Discord server. So I have a link in the description for that, in case you're wondering how something was placed. That will get you access to this full world, so you can walk around, dismantle things as you would like. But I really appreciate you all watching. This was a very fun project. It was one of the ones that I was kind of intimidated to do for a while, but I'm super happy that it's done, and I love how it turned out.
It's fantastic. I love it.
No, I really appreciate all the work that you did as well, and just making it feel
Oh, it's my
cozy and
pleasure.
lived in. All right, subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. Cheers.